All right, I want you to meet a few people here. Gary Thompson, he's a doctor. He's a director of the Clinical Training Center at the Early Life Child Psychology and Education Center. Activist and retired teacher, Lisa Harris, and returning to the show, Emmett McGroarty. He is an attorney with the American Principles Project. So let me start, and I'd like to just have an open discussion like we've had before here on the program on Common Core, and that is the worst thing that you're finding about the data mining. You actually thought this was a conspiracy theory.
I did. I really did. In fact, I thought all of your shows were conspiracy theories.
Right.
I've never watched one.
Right. Okay. So when you hear about when you heard about this, you're like, oh, geez, another Glenn Beck conspiracy. But then you start looking into it.
I looked at the exact documents that you discussed in full during your monologue.
And
it was scary. Wasn't a conspiracy theory at all.
And am I overstating it? Because I think this is the scariest thing we have found yet. This is like some really spooky sci-fi Gattaca kind of thing, isn't it?
It's pretty freaky.
Yeah. Worst thing? Anybody want to go on this before we start? Or, I mean, let's go here. Why are they data mining like this? Make the case, because people say, oh, why are they doing that? They're just trying to help education get a little better. That's what they're doing.
I think you hit the nail on the head in your monologue. This is about a progressive agenda, which at the root of it means we're talking about people who don't have faith in the American people. They don't have faith in the American people to lead their own lives, make their own decisions. So why do you need to do this? Well, you need to manage society. You need to manage education. You need to manage the workforce.
And really, I mean, a really benign example of this that's already there, and it's very simple, is the PSATs. To where you take a PSAT and you take it early and you're like, oh, you know what, that kid we should watch that kid. And so they start getting letters from the good universities and everything else early, and so you're watching it. This is something that is really kind of insidious. I mean, right at the beginning, they're evaluating and they're saying, you're a cog, you're over here. Ooh, you might be this designer, right?
Right.
Go ahead.
What I see is, instead of children being encouraged to excel to the highest that they can, they're putting them in a place to where, instead of it's a child choosing a career and going after their interest, they're letting the career choose the child, or the workforce choose the child, and tracking them all along the way to slot them into whatever workforce needs are.
Okay, so are you three convinced that that's really what this is? That this is just to feed the beast of what society needs as a collective, to train the kids the best way and slot them into the best things? Is that what this is?
I don't know the end game, but you've had some great comments on it.
That's true, but when you talk about slotting children in, you know, in a managed society, managed economy, you also concern yourself with how they're going to manage their interrelations with other people. That becomes part of the game. Well, we need worker bees, we need cogs in the machine, and that's going to be a different personality type, for instance, than your entrepreneur.
Okay, so what is the? I think there's a double standard here. You know, we're all supposed to be born equal and then make our own way and have an equal chance. But I mean, is that the double standard? Is that? I mean, because it seems to me that there's a double standard that you don't really get an equal.
You're born free, and in your life, it's like an artist with a canvas. That's your canvas, and you're there to make that masterpiece, and it should be you doing it, not the state.
What is predictive testing?
Well, in essence, it's neuropsychological testing is what the school districts are proposing to do throughout the country. There's a reason why my wife and I don't have many friends in our small Utah town, because we've tested half the community's children, and the reason we don't have friends is because we have access to extensive data about these children and their families, and you know we have to be subjected to strict privacy laws, and with this information comes power, and And to keep from people like us from abusing that power, we are subjected to these strict privacy laws, as well as state governing laws in regards to being clinical psychologist. So it's the power differential, and so we have to back off from these families. When you take this type of information and you put it in the hands of someone who is not trained, you're having kindergarten teachers and second grade teachers basically performing neuropsychological examinations, and they're not trained with the privacy issues, they're not trained with interpreting results.
Like, what can you interpret from this information? I mean, they show me something that you could gather the information and you could interpret one thing, but it actually means something else. Can you give me a kind of an example? Like, what is it? I'm a teacher. What am I going to see? What kind of information am I going to see that I could take and I could use it against? I'm trying to play the devil's advocate here because people are going to say, oh, guys, you're just overreacting. It's no big deal.
After a 45-page evaluation of this, it is just so strong in terms of its predictive abilities, in terms of personality, cognitive styles, behavioral styles. I can.
So is this kind of like almost like Minority Report, to where they're saying predictive testing means I can say pretty much what you are going to do in life, so I categorize you as worth it or not worth it right now?
We're getting to that point in clinical psychology and neurology and medicine, but we are truly getting to that point where we can predict in that manner.